3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is August the 30th, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Hot summer day, Carl. What better way? You know what I did this week? I'm going to get right into it. I played hockey last night.
In the dead of summer.
In the dead of summer. In a real arena, I skated on real ice in full equipment.
Wow, how does that feel?
It felt awesome. You know, going into it, I was kind of nervous but excited because I haven't skated for a couple of reasons. I mean, one is because I haven't actually played hockey in almost 2 years. And two is because of like the whole COVID thing. And I didn't really know what to expect with like dressing rooms and the bench and stuff. But the rink I played at was very strict about their COVID guidelines. The organizers of the skate were very strict about it. And it was a wonderful experience. It was just so nice. Well, as soon as we got out into like the rink surface and you could hear the skate stride against the ice and you could smell whatever it is that arenas smell like. and you hear the puck hit the stick and it was wonderful.
I was gonna say, you hear the puck hit the stick, you hear the puck hit the boards.
Yeah. And then you kind of lift your shoulders up and duck your head just in case it's around you.
Yeah. That's great.
It was good. I felt a little, so I went and got my skates sharpened yesterday before I went because I had no idea when the last time they were sharpened was.
Yeah. Probably 2019.
Yeah, probably. But I don't remember the last time I played. I don't remember when I got them sharpened before then. So they could have been super sharp. The edges were a little rough. I felt a little like Bambi getting going. My first shift, I went over backwards right onto my butt. But as the hour went on, I started to feel more confident and better. And, you know, as soon as the guys started, I was playing defense. So as soon as they started saying, go, 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 and, you know, encouraging me to rush it up the ice, I started to find my feet a little better. It felt great. It felt really good.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Man, I'm wanting to get out there.
Yeah, it was because I have this thing when I play hockey where even when I'm sitting on the bench, I don't think about anything else except for playing the game. So like from a mental standpoint for me, it's very cathartic because I just focus on this one thing and it exhausts me and it feels great. And I really don't think about anything else till I get back into the dressing room. It's
so true. I mean, especially when you're out there on the ice, and I don't know how many guys, I mean, I'm used to playing rec beer league hockey where you've got like less than a second line of guys.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We actually had a lot for 10 PM on a Sunday. We had on our team, we had 3D. So there was one sub and there was 5 forwards. So they had 2 subs.
Yeah. That's pretty standard. Good. Yeah. That's good for sure. But because they're so short, like you're double shifting, you're, you know, playing long shifts, you're literally just trying to catch your breath back on the bench. There's no time for you to think about something else and you're getting ready and you're watching and you're so invested in what's happening. It is the best way to just fully dive in.
Yeah, it was so good. And if you or anyone's interested, I'll quickly run through what the COVID protocols were because I was very interested about this before I went in. So first of all, mandatory double vax. They weren't letting people play if you didn't have both of your vaccines.
Was it just like you just had to say that you did?
You had to sign a waiver saying that you did. They didn't ask to see like proof or anything like that. Masks on in the dressing room. So when you're getting dressed / undressing, you had to have your mask on. But the dressing room was nice. They had like these X's of paint, every paint of tape on the benches. So you knew exactly where to sit. So there was enough distance in there. Max 20 guys playing.
Okay.
So that was it. So there's a lot of space on the bench. And everyone was very respectful, even on the ice. Like there was no close contact at all.
Oh, that's really great.
So it was a very comfortable experience in the context of COVID. Because I know last year, some of the leagues that started playing had these really weird rules about contact and about face-offs and about being on the bench. None of that stuff really applied here, but it was set up in a way that was very comfortable.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I mean, I look forward to, you know, as we can all start to get back out there and play. And I know across Canada and throughout the US, as the winter hits, we'll see more and more of that. So I'm excited you got out there.
Yeah, it felt great. Can't wait to go back again.
No doubt. Well, we do have some big news this week. Last week we sat here and we talked about the likelihood of Carolina Hurricanes forward Andrei Svechnikov being offer sheeted by another team. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm. I remember.
We said last year the Hurricanes let Sebastian Aho get offer sheeted. They didn't re-sign Dougie Hamilton. This team is not making the necessary moves to be aggressive in the offseason. They heard us. They were personally offended. And they went out this week and signed Jesperi Kotkaniemi, the Montreal Canadiens, to what could be only described as the greatest offer sheet ever.
And why do you think it was the greatest offer sheet ever?
Oh, there's so many reasons. That's what's so great about, like, sure, like anytime you sign an offer sheet, it's great, right? Like, it's fun. You're trying to get another player from another team. It's
dramatic.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Anytime is fun. But this time, I don't know. So let me just go through my greatest hits for this offer sheet.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Greatest hit number 1. Montreal signed their player to an offer sheet last year. And so they're literally just coming back at them.
So you're talking about Sebastian Aho.
Sebastian Aho signed with the Canadiens. They have a restricted free agent now. And they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go after someone of your team. Even just starting just with that, I appreciate. Like, I appreciate. Petty is the word that I continually used with this. Even just that is great.
It's amazing. It's hilarious. It's such proof that there's no short memories in this game.
No, zero short memories. Well, I mean, it's only been a year, right? Like, but they don't stop there. What is your next favorite for you? Like, what's your next favorite part of this?
Oh, my next favorite. So I'm trying to decide which of these two things is my favorite. I think it's the fact that the Hurricanes were tweeting out the news in French. because they're the Carolina Hurricanes. Nobody in and around Raleigh, North Carolina understands French.
No.
So they're literally doing it just to take jabs at the Canadians.
Yeah. So they did that. I also really appreciated, I mean, their social media account, whoever, like, when they got the notice, their social media director, they were on cloud 9. They also tweeted out an Uno reverse card. That was a good one.
Very good.
Yeah. But like, with that, I mean, with the release of that information and their press conference and things like that, they literally released the word for word identical justification of the signing that Marc Bergevin used last year and just swapped the names of Sebastian with Jesperi. So good.
I can't stop thinking about whose idea that must have been. Because I can't imagine that it was their PR person's idea. But as soon as it was told to them that's what they were doing, they're like, sweet, I don't have to do anything this afternoon now.
my work here is done. I don't have to put out a press release. Great.
I feel like it's whoever's behind that social media account.
I think that's got to be a big part of it. Apparently, this entire thing did not even come from the GM. This was the owner sent this down and said, you know what we should do? This.
I love it.
So he's personally offended.
Good. And you know what else is great is they went and got Svechnikov done first and then signed the offer sheet.
So that Montreal couldn't double reverse.
That's right.
Yeah. Let those +2s on the Uno stack. It's against the rules, but that's the only way to play Uno.
By cheating?
No, look, if you're going to play it and you're just going to, like, if I get a +2, I'm giving that to you and that becomes a +4. That's not how the rules work, but that's how you got to play.
I'm not that familiar with Uno, I'm not going to lie.
Well,
so I just have to take your word for that.
Now you know. Uno's come out and said that you can't let those stack, but you have to.
The more Uno.
Now Uno.
Now Uno.
But the number one favorite thing that they did with this is the signing bonus in this contract. So Kotkaniemi signed a 1-year, $6.1 million deal with the Hurricanes, which means that a first and a third, if not matched, will go back to Montreal. We can talk about that in a second. But as part of this was a signing bonus. What do you think? Like, what would you say is the usual signing bonus amount that teams hand out? Like a percentage of the deal?
Percentage of the total deal wise?
Yeah.
God, I don't know. They're all over the board based on who the player is. Do you know what the answer is? Like,
no, I was just like, I feel like it's at like, if you're going to have a signing bonus, it's in the realm of like 10, 20, 50, like it kind of runs the gambit, right?
Yeah.
I have never seen a $20 signing bonus until now.
It's just so good, all of it.
And why $20? Which Carolina Hurricane wears number 20, Nick?
I don't know, Carl. Which one?
That would be the formerly offer-sheeted Hurricane, Sebastian Aho.
Just like a round of applause. The whole thing is so good.
It's perfect.
It's petty. Like, it is petty.
Unbelievably so.
But it's hilarious.
It's perfect. It's the perfect offer sheet. It cannot get better than this.
I'm starting to get the sense that a lot of people don't like Marc Bergevin.
You know what? I've shared my thoughts on Marc Bergevin this offseason, and I don't disagree with those people.
Sounds like he's also kind of a jerk when dealing with him. Like, I wonder what, so the Canadians signed that offer sheet last year. Obviously, a phone call is made to Marc Bergevin, right? Some sort of, what are you guys doing at? What are you getting at here with this thing?
Yeah.
His response to that must have been real jerky for them to go and do all of this work just to get back at him this year.
I mean, it's the dead of summer. What else are they going to be doing, right?
So good. Can we talk about the deal itself?
Yeah, absolutely.
1 year, 6.1 million. Is that what it was? 6.1?
Yeah.
What do you think about that deal for Kotkaniemi?
I think it's fine. I mean, it's a short-term deal. He will still be a restricted free agent after this. He's just coming off of his rookie deal. And I think it's good. I mean, could it be lower? Absolutely. If you were to go on a longer term, you'd be paying less, right? Because of that uncertainty. But 1 year, 6.1, I'm okay with that. I think that that's a reasonable amount.
I totally agree. I think it's a good price for him. Now, what do you think about the compensation of a first and a third for this player if the Habs don't match?
If the Habs don't match, I think that becomes less good. Obviously, it's less good of a deal, right, than just signing this guy to a 1 year, $6.1 million deal. But you got to imagine this is going to be a presumably late third, or a late first and a late third, right? The third, kind of whatever. So you're essentially trading a first round pick for Kotkaniemi. I think that that's perfectly fine. If he was to be on the trade market, if he's on the trade market, that's 100% worth that.
Totally worth it. I agree. That's why it's so low risk for the Hurricanes, because they get him and they get into me like a top 1-2 center. Well, maybe not next year, not top one center, but at least then he's in the system.
Well, and Montreal has been doing such a terrible job using him, like developing him. The fact that this guy was good in the playoffs last year, and then Montreal benches him instead of like working and trying to get in. And I get that, like, they've, you have to have a short leash in the playoffs, but they had Thomas Tatar and him sitting in the same press box benched. Like, you're kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball when you're doing those things. And now they've really, driven down the price of him by using him terribly.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't agree with their usage of him through the playoffs at all. I think they're going to match this offer sheet, though.
Well, and that's what we're seeing a lot of talk about them doing this and then turning around and trading for an actual quote unquote center, right? Like to go and get somebody else.
Why?
That's kind of the thing, right?
He's the kind of guy that you would, if you're a team in that position, he's the kind of guy that you would go after in a trade.
A good, like he's not great, but he is a good young player that will continue to improve as he gets older.
He's so like he's 21. He's getting there. He is getting there. He's going to be a great player. They should not lose him over 1 year at $6.1 million.
And be enticed by this deal, right? Because I mean, some of the rumors that you see out there of like, oh, they could go and get this, like his name's slipping my mind right now, from Arizona. There's center from Arizona. That's
Clayton Keller.
No, not that one. The other one. I'm very
really gotta dig deep for
Christian Dvorak.
Okay, gotcha.
There you go. But you could just keep the one that you have, unless you've really soured on him, like on and with him that much, right? If you burned that bridge and ruined that relationship through usage and you don't want him and you think you could get someone else, but I don't think you can get someone as good as him with a first and a third.
No, I don't think so. They should just match it. They'll be fine. Like, I think the Habs showed that they could be a good team this year. They just should not, like, be realistic on your timelines, be realistic about what happened this year and in these playoffs. Not like the Ottawa Senators when they had their Stanley Cup run, because it did not go well for them after that. So if they be realistic, they stick with the core that they have, these young players, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, everything's going to be fine.
The problem is Marc Bergevin is so dramatic about everything.
Yeah. I want to step into Kotkaniemi's shoes for a second. So he signs this deal, no matter which team he gets on. How are you going to spend that $20 that you get to celebrate the signing of this contract?
Oh, $20, hey? Is it 20 USD?
Yeah, 20 US dollars. So that's pretty good.
Oh man. I like, what can you get for $20 anymore?
Like in a
I'd rent a movie at
manner.
Blockbuster.
Okay, so it's going to cost you more than that though to get to Oregon. So you can't do that.
No, but you book your boys' trip to Oregon, and then you rent the movie with the $20.
So you got to get the boys to foot the bill though, because you're not getting that money yet. So the boys fit the bill, and you're like, "Look, guys, I still got my Blockbuster card. We're gonna go get a movie, and you're gonna show up, and you're gonna rent Prince of Persia, and and go back.
The one with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, the live action with Jake Gyllenhaal, obviously, and watch that.
You just fly out to Oregon for one night to rent Prince of Persia from Blockbuster with your friends.
Yeah, but you got an extra $20 so you can get some snacks, get some licorice, some popcorn.
That's true. That is true. Get some pop.
It's a real party now. Well, I think this is exciting. This is exactly what I want for some off-season content. The Hurricanes, though, you mentioned, right? They were busy before that because they also extended Andrei Svechnikov, signing him to a big deal. Easy for me to say, right?
Yes.
But big. You're like, yeah, you blew it. Like he got some big money and term from the Hurricanes, signing a $7.75 million deal for 8 years.
I can't remember a few weeks ago when we ran through all the RFAs. I feel like this is close to where we kind of guessed he would land at. 8x8.
Yeah, I feel 8x8 was probably around where we settled.
So it's not bad. It's, good for the Hurricanes for getting it done because they don't have a strong history of that.
No. This, however, was a good. It really should have let them know what was going to happen with the next contract because his signing bonus is $4,037,000. He wears number 37.
That must be a player request, though.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kotkaniemi's like, why $20? And they're like, look, hear us out.
So you've heard of Sebastian Aho, the one on the Islanders? No, we have our own, and he's really good.
You almost played with him last year.
Yeah.
Like the funniest thing, just to go back for a minute, Kotkaniemi had to sign off on all of this, so he knew what they were doing.
Exactly. He knew the signing bonus. He knew. I mean, he probably didn't know like the press release that was going to be sent out.
No, but he knew they were taking shots.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Absolutely.
Svechnikov, or what'd you call him? Svechnikov?
You did a better. Your version of my mess up was closer to his actual name than what I said.
We have a history on the show of not getting names right the first time. Svechnikov, 8x7.75.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, that's what he should have gotten. It wasn't unreasonable. He should have gotten a long-term deal. Good for him.
Yeah, and good for them for getting it done. I didn't have a lot of faith in them. Look, we're sitting here praising the Hurricanes after 2 weeks ago. We were not praising them. I'm still mad at the Hurricanes.
Right.
But they've made some smart and funny business decisions this week.
It's very true. Now, here's one last question before we move on from this Hurricanes thing, or at least one more from me. Next year, Kotkaniemi's a restricted free agent. Martin Necas is a restricted free agent. Ethan Bear and Tony DeAngelo are restricted free agents on this team. Which one is Montreal going to sign?
Montreal is going to go after... Well, I don't include Kotkaniemi in that because I think they're going to match it. They're going to go after Ethan Bear. That's my prediction.
A great choice by them.
Yeah, especially if they have no more Shea Weber anymore.
It's true. I would think that whatever that deal comes in at is going to be it's going to be a reasonable deal that is very much going to be matched by the Hurricanes.
Yes, I agree. But if we can keep this going every year, they're just offer sheeting someone on the other team, that would be great.
Absolutely. Let's see, who else does Montreal have as a restricted free agent next year? Arturi Lehkonen, Nick Suzuki.
Oh, there's a big one.
Let's see what happens there.
That's next year?
Next year.
Imagine every year they both offer sheet people on the other team. So in effect, they're just managing each other's cap space.
And that's the easiest way to do it. They should just swap GMs.
Just trade GMs.
I'm sure Don Waddell would do great in Montreal. They clearly know enough French that they can post some things.
It's true.
That person should be applying for jobs with the Canadians.
Yeah, it's the person who just knows how to use Google Translate.
That's a very dangerous game to play.
Yes, it is.
I think we've all who've taken French in school have experienced the failed Google Translate.
I speak French fluently, and I can tell immediately when somebody's used Google Translate.
Yeah. I don't speak French fluently, and there are times that I can tell. So, and if I can do it, it's not great.
The sentences are just all backwards. Anyways.
What you have to do is, here's a tip for you, folks. You have to double translate it. So you put it in English to French and then put it from French back into English and see, does this sentence make sense? If not, your translation is probably bad.
That's actually a really good tip. Have you done that?
Yes.
Does it work?
Yeah. And sometimes it's terrible and you're like, this is probably not right.
That's a really good tip. That's a really good tip, not just for French.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Right. If you're going to like Mexico or you're going to Europe, it's a great way to know.
All right. Hot tips from Carl.
This is what people didn't realize they were coming for today.
No.
Was this great content.
Not. So there's another deal.
There was one more big deal this week. Another 8-year, $7.75 million per deal. Sean Couturier extended with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Same term, same dollar amount as Svechnikov.
Also a $4,037,000 signing bonus.
No, get out of here.
No, his signing bonuses are big. His total salary in the deal is $62 million. 42 of that is signing bonus.
Jeez. So crazy.
He could just buy Blockbuster.
I wouldn't. Not a smart business decision.
The nostalgia.
Yeah. Yeah. If you just plan on never opening or operating it, you just want to have your own personal movie rental store that you can open all the cassettes and DVDs and smell them like they did in the documentary. Sure. Great investment.
But what if when, the Flyers have their on jersey ads this coming, in a couple of years, they could have Blockbuster on there.
That would actually be a sick logo on the jerseys.
Right? Wouldn't those sell?
Those would sell.
Yeah. Because I know that people aren't going to be putting jerseys on or ads on the jerseys that you buy. But that one you maybe should. What
movie do you think Gritty's going to be renting this weekend?
What movie? I'm not sure we can answer that question while still keeping the show appropriate.
No, Blockbuster doesn't have that section at the back with the bees anymore. That was a long time ago. But that is where you'd find Gritty. No, I'm just kidding. He'd watch something like Gremlins, right?
Ooh, yeah, that does seem pretty on point. He seems like a guy who'd watch like all versions of It.
Yeah, totally by himself.
Yeah, and just taking notes the entire time.
Yeah, either that or he'd put it on the jumbo screen mid-game.
Well, because he lives at the arena, so he's watching it on the Jumbotron anyways.
Yeah, right?
So I can only imagine.
Love it. All right. Okay, Sean Couturier. This is a lot of money for this guy, isn't it?
I think it's worth it, though. He's not as young as some of these other guys we're seeing getting these big 8-year, $62 million deals, but because he's already, he's 28. And that's the reason that I'm a little more skeptical. Svechnikov, still nice and young.
Yes.
Couturier, no spring chicken.
If this deal was signed 2 weeks later or 2 weeks before Svechnikov, if there was enough time there for me to kind of forget about the Svechnikov deal, then I think I'd like it more. But because I literally saw one listed and then right below it, the second one listed, I was like, oh, those two players at the exact same price at the exact same term. One of them is not as good of a deal as the other one.
Yeah. And I think for right now, I would put them as comparable. They obviously play very different games, very different roles, but value to the team, sure, I can say 7.75 is worth it.
For now.
And I do think, Couturier does play his really strong two-way game is one that typically translates better as you age.
Yes, true.
So,
and he'll last longer. Interestingly, their stats the last couple of years are pretty similar, which makes me think that teams have some sort of internal calculator to calculate what a player's value is based on their statistical performance.
All those, not all the fancy stat sites, but several of them have their own calculators. You could literally just go to those websites and be like, what do these guys say that I should pay this player, and just do that?
I suspect that happens a lot.
Definitely.
There's a lot of free stuff out there that, people like us and other writers and bloggers and people who tweet rely on. I suspect that teams use it a lot too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You'd be foolish not to.
Yeah.
I'd be on, cap friendly. I don't know what the NHL has for an internal salary cap website and salary cap tool to see what's all there for their database, but cap friendly is all that you need.
It's whatever the NHL's one is, it's probably clunky and slow and not very attractive or user friendly. It's probably got some crazy like URL link, like https://web-nhl.com/salary-cap-calculator/team that you want to look at.
And then like you still have to log in, and the password is always username Gary, password Bettman. Yeah. That's what you got to put in.
Except for when it makes you change it every 3 months, then he just reverses it.
Yeah.
Username Bettman, password Gary.
Yeah. And they're like, you've already used this password in the last 6 months. We're just going to start capitalizing random letters and not tell anyone. It's going to be great.
Yeah. When they started the service, you had to have a password that had a capital letter, lowercase letter, special character, number. And he was just like, no, this is too much.
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not going to use an @ for the letter A. My name's Gary Bettman. Not Gary Bettman. All right. We're going to take a break here and be back on the other side with some very exciting hockey. Nick, you're not the only person playing hockey right now. We'll be back. 3, 2, 1.
And we're back. And I would like to make a correction. Carl, you said that I was playing hockey right now, just like this other person. Not quite the case. I'm sitting here speaking with you. I played hockey last night. This other person was long asleep, I hope. And she's playing hockey right now for Team Canada.
Yes. Well, tell who is playing.
So friend of the show, Erin Ambrose, is playing, not currently on the ice, but I have seen her on my television screen as we've spoken, which means she is playing in this game.
And they have way more subs than you did last night.
They have so many more subs.
Like, they've got a full roster.
Yeah, they also have referees and lights and, a stop timing clock that keeps score.
It does a lot. They've got a lot going on in there. Actually, I will say the facility that they're playing at, Winsport, which is at Canada Olympic Park, which was the host of ski jumping at the Calgary Olympics, as well as bobsled, which also means that it is the site of Cool Runnings. But this arena is there in Calgary, and it is an amazing facility. They built it probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it is just beautiful. You can see when they do the intermission interviews and the desk stuff, it's got it's all wood throughout it. It has giant windows on the one side that open up with a view of the city. It is phenomenal. I think they have 3 or 4 rinks here. But Team Canada's offices are in this building too. And it is beautiful.
Why? I think I know the answer to this, but why don't the Flames play there? Is it capacity?
Yeah, it's very small. I would say you would probably fit 2,000-3,000 people in there.
Okay, that's not enough for an NHL team.
No.
I'm also assuming that if you said there's 4 pads, then maybe they have an NHL sized one.
Yes.
But I'm assuming this one's international.
I also would assume that, because I've only ever seen international, like junior tryouts, ladies tune-up games, men's Team Canada camps, all held there. So
cool. Beautiful. Well, it looks like a nice rink. So currently,
nonetheless, that's not what's important.
Well, it is important. It's important. But what is also important is the game that's being played on that ice right now. Canada currently leading Switzerland 3-0. I believe it's the second period.
Yeah, we're halfway through the second right now.
We're halfway through the second period. It's 3-0 Canada in the semifinals of the IHF Women's World Championship.
Yes, it is.
A lot happened since we talked last week. The game against the US happened. Don't think that game was what everyone expected it to be.
No, we were all amped up, right? We sold that game hard last week.
Yes, we did.
And I mean, if you showed up to watch it, you showed up more than the US team did in that game.
Yeah. rough performance by them. Great for Team Canada. And then they moved on to the elimination rounds, and they played Germany the other night, and once Canada won 7-0 in the quarters.
Yep.
And here we are against Switzerland. It's 3-0 halfway through the second. Shots are 29-4. If you're wondering how the flow of game's going,
I was gonna say I mean, and this is really settled down. There was a point it was 21-2. So this has been definitely, I mean, a dominant tournament for Team Canada.
Yeah, this game, like from what I've kind of been watching peripherally here, has looked a little physical. Actually, like there's been some weight thrown around and some penalties handed out in this period.
Yeah, Switzerland has been doing a fairly good job considering they're being outshot 29-4. They've been doing a pretty good job of keeping Team Canada away from the front of the net.
Yeah, which is what you got to do.
Absolutely.
And they just scored a goal that was deflected in front of the net. So, that's why you got to keep them away from the front of the net.
Absolutely. So US beat Finland this afternoon to qualify for the final. So we're going to be having a rematch. I mean, I'm going to assume that Canada's going to win this game. So we're going to have a rematch in the finals, Canada, US. What are we going to get that same game?
I hope so, but I hope not.
Right. I know. I'd love for Canada to clean the floor with them, but I also want to be entertained.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think, just from hearing some of the stories firsthand from Erin and some of her colleagues whom I've met over the years, there is a very, very intense and bitter rivalry between these two teams. And I always assume, because we see them interact off the ice and they're so good and nice to each other, but, on the ice, everything is taken personally. I think the US is going to bounce back in a very big way. It's not going to be an easy gold medal for Canada to win.
Well, and, like you said, the US should be embarrassed with what they did in that game.
Yeah.
And so now Canada's got to show that this was not just a one-time thing, right? That they can come back, that they can do this, and that they will be able to win this. So this game, the final game, is going to actually be tomorrow night. So this is coming right up very quickly. Quick turnaround, 5:30 Eastern time. Looks like that's the start time. Or is that 5:30 local time? That's 5:30 Calgary time, I believe.
Correct.
Right?
7:30 Eastern time.
7:30 Eastern time. That'll get started with Canada versus US. It's going to be a good game. It's
going to be a very good game. I'm very excited for it. And pretty impressed with how the teams performed this entire tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, you can tell that they've put the work in, and with things being shut down, and even they did have the tour that some of them on this team did together. So definitely,
yeah,
going to be a good game. Congrats on making it to the finals, Canada, and hopefully can finish it strong. We would celebrate this team doing this, but if the Red Wings lose, or if Team Canada loses this week, what would your reaction be? Like, what do you do when your team loses, Nick?
Oh man, mostly I go quiet. That's how I react in a bad loss. I go quiet. I mean, I think you experienced it once in the draft lottery. Actually, maybe I swore.
No, you did. You got very quiet.
Yeah, I go quiet.
Yeah.
I internalize my anger and frustration.
Yeah, I'm similar. Like, I'm a loud celebrator, but a quiet stewing disappointment.
Yes.
When they lose.
Yes.
But so would you ever, let's say you go to a Red Wings game, and I'm going to use them as an example just because, I mean, this is a hockey show, obviously. You go to a Red Wings game and they lose badly.
Yeah.
We've seen this over the years, right? Teams lose badly. We've seen jerseys thrown on the ice. Would you throw something on the ice? Would you boo your team? Would you get in on all of that?
I would never throw anything on the ice. I'm just I never get angry enough to react physically to it, like about anything. But, depending on the atmosphere in the arena, I could probably see myself doing some booing.
Okay.
So a little bit of a herd mentality, I think, when it comes to that stuff.
I think that's a reasonable thing. Right? You're obviously not getting too carried away, but a little booing never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Or did it? Because the New York Mets baseball team, they were getting booed by fans recently. They came back and started winning some games after this. Now, the Mets have a team they, traded for Javi Baez at the trade deadline. You got Francisco Lindor at the start of the year, made some trades to acquire some top level players. It's not working out as well as they'd hoped. So the players decided that what they would do is if the fans are going to boo us when we're losing, we're going to boo the fans when we're winning. And so they started giving fans the thumbs down when they would get a hit or score a run or anything productive. They would show the fans their displeasure.
Wait, hold on. Oh my God. Every once in a while, Carl comes up with a story on the show and I'm like, should I read more about this? And he tells me yes or no. This is one of the times he said no. So you're telling me this team, when they did something well, they reacted towards the fans in a negative way?
Yes.
Like, were they running the bases with their thumbs down?
Here's a picture right here of Javi Baez crossing home plate. I don't know. Can you see that? It's kind of
yes,
blurry.
I can see it.
Javi Baez crossing home plate, giving the fans the thumbs down as he scores a run.
That's so silly. That's so silly. Were the fans cheering? I guess so, because he just scored.
Yeah. I mean, they were for a time, and then they got thumbs down.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know how to react to this.
So he was asked about this after the game. And he says, we're not machines. We're going to struggle. It just feels bad. When I strike out and get booed, it really doesn't get to me. Now, granted, he just said it feels bad. So it obviously gets to him. It doesn't get to me, but I want them to know that when we have success, we're going to do the same thing to them to let them know how it feels. Because if we win together, we've got to lose together. The fans are a really big part of it. In my case, they've got to be better. I play for the fans. I love the fans. But if they're going to do that, they're just putting more pressure on the team. And that's not what we want.
This is very silly. He said a lot of things in that statement that I think contradict each other. I'm trying to find the words. See what happens. I go quiet. I mean, it's just let's antagonize the people who make this a successful business that help to pay our contracts.
Yes. Well, the team itself is not happy with it. They also released a statement. So general manager of the team said, Mets fans are understandably frustrated over the team's performance. The players and the organization are equally frustrated, but fans at Citi Field have every right to express their own disappointment. Booing is every fan's right. The Mets will not tolerate any player gesture that is unprofessional in its meaning or is directed in a negative way toward our fans. I will be meeting with our players and staff to convey this message directly. So
this is a players only decision.
Yes.
Was it run up the ladder?
They did not say, hey, boss, mind if I boo the people paying your salary?
Booing is literally part of sports. How do you make it to the highest level of baseball and not have a thick enough skin to withstand some boos?
Because you've had to get booed on the road. If you are going to be the best player on your team, and I mean, Javi Baez has been close to that at various points. He's won a World Series. He's experienced these things from other teams, and yet can't handle it.
But you think
new home.
Booing is like one of the first things you experience as an athlete. Like if you're playing high school sports, you're being booed.
Yeah.
This is not okay at this level of like, be a little mature here. You're a professional baseball player.
So let's imagine that this then ended up in the world of hockey, right? Like I look at, New York is a tough city to play in. So we take this, you could take it to the Rangers, but I take it to the toughest market to play in hockey, the Maple Leafs. We've seen jerseys thrown on the ice there repeatedly.
They've been booed.
Things like that. The players have been booed. What would the reaction be if Austin Matthews scored a goal, skated, did a lap of the rink, thumbs down for the fans?
People would still pay stupid amounts of money to go see them. That won't change. I think that a fan reaction would not be that bad. I think the media would try to blow it out of proportion and the fans would just turn on the media instead.
I think
imagine James Myrtle writing about Austin Matthews giving thumbs down to the fans. Oh my God, my eyes are rolling just thinking about it.
I'm not so concerned about Myrtle. I'm concerned about like Damian Cox and those guys writing about it.
Oh, the whole class act argument.
Yeah.
Grown.
So, we have that. Austin Matthews might not get his third NHL EA Sports cover, though, if he does that. That might not.
No, or the league would hate that.
Or they just put him thumbs downing on the cover.
Oh, my God, that would be amazing. Imagine that picture you just showed me is the front of EA Sports MLB, show or whatever it's called now.
Next baseball game, yeah.
That would be so funny.
That would be a treat.
The NHL though, and the Maple Leafs in particular, but the NHL would be more angry than any other professional sports league.
I feel like the NHL would most certainly fine him for like conduct detrimental to the sport or something like that.
Definitely. He'd have to pay some money.
Which might be worth it to him at this point, for being honest.
Come on. The NHL doesn't have any serious power when it comes to fines.
No, right.
Like, we're going to fine you one chicken sandwich.
We're going to literally fine you 10 Kotkaniemi signing bonuses.
That's how all fines should be measured now. In Kotkaniemi signing bonuses.
Yeah. How many Kotkaniemi signing bonuses does this knee cost me? 1,000? Perfect. Do it again. Unreal.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that story to me, Carl. I'm still in disbelief a little bit.
It is quite the situation. And as a fan, like, I would appreciate that. Like, I would find that funny. Like, that would egg me on. I'm now getting more invested in that team because they're showing that they care.
And they're interacting with me, which they normally would just ignore, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't have to like it, but I think I'd be fine with that.
Maybe the new tradition there is that the fans start booing them when they're winning too. And then they all just boo each other together.
Everyone boos. And then
everyone boos.
Do they cheer? Give the old, like, you've seen the Bronx cheer before. It's just all cheers when you lose.
I actually think that would be worse than the boos.
Yeah, I think so. You strike out and like you get a standing ovation walking off the field.
That would be awful.
That would be tough. But hey, maybe we'll see where this Mets situation lands. Could be a fun thing to look at as we wrap up the baseball season. Let's head to the theater. It's time to head to the theater and see what we've watched this week, Nick. So
I watched two things this week. Okay. One was a documentary, and it's because I had some work to do in the evenings. Because like I said, for some reason, I watch documentaries when I have to work. The 2-part Tiger Woods documentary called Tiger.
Ooh, I've yet to watch that. Thoughts?
It was good. I don't know if I learned much new about him. I mean, like, they tried to pin a lot of his behavior and conduct on his how intense of a person his dad was for him, and the fact that he like had no childhood really because he was this famous golf player. And when in reality, I don't know, this is just my personal thoughts. I think in reality, when you give someone that much fame and that much power, it kind of goes to the head a little bit. But it documented the rise, the fall, and then covered the rise again. And, all of his personal issues aside, dude is an amazing athlete and an amazing golfer.
Unreal. And the fact that like you like you said, the rise again.
Yeah.
He was done.
He was done. Like he was done physically. He was done just in the public eye.
Yeah.
He had like, you don't see people come back from what he went through.
Yeah. So again, I like the way you put it, right? Might not like who he is, or what he does and things like that, but it's hard to not appreciate what he does on the field.
Oh yeah, it's truly amazing. So I watched that. The other thing I watched was a piece of fiction that I believe was a Netflix movie called Love and Monsters.
Okay.
Have you seen this film?
No.
Have you heard of it?
I have. It sounds familiar. So
it's because it's a Netflix produced movie. Anytime you turn on Netflix, you probably see it on your home screen somewhere because they want you to watch it. It's a movie that's set in the future. There's a monster apocalypse. So basically what happens is there's an asteroid colliding towards Earth. The humans fire a bunch of rockets at it, blow it up, but then all the like bacteria off the asteroid fall back towards Earth and fall on all the insects and animals, and they all just become these massive monsters and they kill most of humanity. And the movie, so humans are driven underground into bunkers and live kind of in colonies, kind of like ants, which is part of the irony of the concept. But the story is about this young guy who finds out that his girlfriend is still alive in a different colony. And he's a bit of a like scaredy cat. He doesn't really have any guts. He's never been to the surface, and he decides to go find her. So he goes up to the surface and learns how to become a survivor.
Does it? No, I don't want to know if it works for him. That's an interesting concept. What would you rank that?
It was, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
It was like visual effects were not really up to snuff. They were better than what I expected from a Netflix movie.
Which it needs to be, because you're literally blowing up an asteroid and making monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. The storyline, the character story was simple enough. It's like, scaredy cat learns how to become a survivor. So that piece was very simple. Tone wise, it was very much like Zombieland. I don't know if you ever saw Zombieland.
Love Zombieland. Yeah.
So it was very similar to that with the voiceover that it had and the kind of cheeky tone, cheeky voice that the character had. So it was just kind of like a weak, like I'd rate Zombieland and like, I don't know, like 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I love that movie.
Yeah.
This is more of a 6.
Okay. Was it like, did it have the funny moments that a Zombieland had?
It tried to, but they weren't as funny.
Okay.
The main character was a little annoying.
That's disappointing. Well, I mean, so the movie I watched this week is actually kind of goes off of that quite well, because I went and watched a monster movie as well.
Ooh, do tell.
Similarly, asteroids are an important part of this movie, because I went and I watched Jurassic Park.
Love that movie.
The original Jurassic Park.
What do you mean the original?
Well, because I guess it's not Jurassic World, it's Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's some people that need that clarification. I'm glad you're not one of them. But was an interesting thing. This is kind of what spurred me on to rewatch it, because I saw a thing this week that said that if you were to visit Jurassic Park as the theme park, it would have cost you $550 for the cheapest ticket to get into Jurassic Park.
That's cheap.
To literally see dinosaurs?
Yeah, that's cheap. In 1993.
I guess that in $1993, it is a little bit more money.
I still think that's cheap. Like, think about everything that part you get in the car's automated. It takes you around.
Yeah.
See the dinosaurs.
You go through the tour of the inside. You literally are seeing dinosaurs. And that's the difference, right? nowadays going to a zoo costs you just about $50 to see an animal. Like I will go to the zoo and be excited to see a grizzly bear or a moose when I've literally seen a moose on my drive into work multiple times in the last year. And I will pay money for that experience. Dinosaurs? I've never seen a dinosaur on the way into work.
Yeah. Like even today, that would be such a huge technological advancement that I think proper value of a ticket would be in the like thousands of dollars.
I think so. Well, especially with the Jurassic World experience that was created later, which in theory is our current present day reality. It's a whole theme park, right? It's like going to Disney. You don't just go for a day. You go and you do the thing for multiple days.
Yeah. Do you like the new movies?
I do. For a few reasons.
Even Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen Kingdom wasn't as good, but I still liked it. I look forward to this next one though. Now that the spoilers, now that like the dinosaurs have fully escaped and are out there, gives you some potential.
Yeah, I'm interested in this next one too. I didn't really like Fallen Kingdom that much. I didn't mind Jurassic World though. I think that one gets a worse rap than it deserves.
I'm a sucker. Look, anytime you give me just like a pure, literally we talked about this with the Blockbuster thing. If you give me something that's just going to like tweak my nostalgia for something, like the fact that they put that original Jeep in Jurassic World, I was like, I got chills just watching that scene. Like, so the callbacks and like the actual action, it was an interesting story.
Okay, so let's go back to Jurassic Park. What is your favorite scene from that movie?
I think it's got to be, it has to be that first time that they experience the T-Rex. When it
in the
rain, when they're in the car and
the sunroof,
if the car flips over, he steps on it, it gets thrown down the hill, he eats the guy on the toilet. Perfect scene.
I like that one a lot. I see, like, anytime, the most memorable thing for me from watching it as a kid, that image of the guy being on the toilet and the T-Rex coming down and eating it. So that's always the first image that pops into my head. But there's so many great moments in that movie. Like when they get there and they first see the dinosaurs and the theme song, like I was going to say smacks you across the face, but it just like, it fills your heart with warmth. Yeah. That was a really cool moment. When the kid gets electrocuted on the fence, that was a great moment. When she had to go like reset the power and Samuel Jackson's arm just falls on her shoulder.
That's a good
moment. And then when the raptors are chasing them in the kitchen, I like that one a lot too.
That's a good one. The kitchen scene would probably be my second favorite. We did on our honeymoon, we went to Hawaii, which is where much of that movie was filmed. And we were on a bus tour and he was like, if you look out your left window, you might recognize that movie from the opening scene of Jurassic Park. And no one else on the bus cared in the slightest except for me, who got very excited. And I was literally like the boy in that movie, like pushing past people to see dinosaurs, except there wasn't even a dinosaur. It was a green field.
The bus is just quiet. You just hear Carl under his breath. Hey,
you taking requests up there? Yeah, so that was my movie of the week.
Great movie.
I will always, maybe this week I'll go back because I'm a sucker for all of the Jurassic Park movies. I even like Lost World and whatever the third one's called. I think it's just Jurassic Park 3.
Jurassic Park 3. Yeah.
I like both of those.
So anytime I watch the Lost World, is that the second one?
Yeah. I
enjoy it. But anytime I think back of it, the only scene I can think of is the girl swinging and kicking the dinosaur.
Like right from the beginning?
Yeah. And I can't get past that image in my head. And I was like, why would I ever watch that movie? But then I do, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, as you should. Well, there we go. So we'll be back next week with more movies that we've watched. Maybe some more sports teams will get mad at their fans, and we'll find out. Do the Canadians match the offer sheet, or let Kotkaniemi go? All things that we'll find out for next week. But until then, head on over to thefourthlinepodcast.com to find out more about our show. At Fourth Line Podcast on Twitter, both of them with the number 4 in there. You can email us, mail@thefourthlinepodcast.com if you want to send us something. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to shows, we are there. We're also over on Full Press Radio and Full Press NHL. Great site for lots of amazing NHL content. But until next week.
Time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. It may not be that exciting when you don't see a dino. But if you're Carl, when you know,